So you've finally made it to 3rd C and you're continuing to be a sword main. Here's every sword in 3rd C as well as how to obtain them, what they do, the level requirements for them. Now some of the swords inside of 3rd C are actually kind of complicated to get, but this video isn't gonna go too in depth into that. Instead, it's gonna make it pretty simple to just, hey, this is what you need to do, give you a general guide on what you should be doing. That being said though, let's jump straight into it with boss drop swords. The first obtainable sword within 3rd C is the Twin Hooks, which can be gotten at the Floating Turtle, fighting the elephant boss that spawns pretty close to the castle being right there, and then this being the boss area. Now the Twin Hook moves are Sky Cyclone, which I completely missed, at level 150 mastery. There you go. And then the second move is Prehistoric Punch at 300 mastery. I actually really like these swords. They're pretty good damage wise, but the skills are kinda not that great. Now the next obtainable sword is the Canvander. I believe that's how you say that. And similar to the Twin Hooks, it can be gotten at the Floating Turtle. You need to come to the big tree in the middle, go into the door, and then here a boss will spawn named Beautiful Pirate, and you will get the Canvander from fighting the Beautiful Pirate. Overall, the Canvander is pretty good. The attacks are a little everywhere. There's 2 lunges within the combo of the attack. And as for the moves are at 150 mastery, Piercing Dash, and 300 mastery, Scattering Gust. Overall, the sword kind of reminds me of Senbon Sakura from Bleach, because it kind of has that pink flowery kind of effect to it, but it's pretty cool. The next boss drop sword is the Buddy Sword, which can be gotten at Ice Cream Island by fighting the Cake Queen. The 2 moves are Heat Slash at 150 and Lightning Wave at 300. Oh, I'm dead. Overall, pretty good for grinding because there's no dash to the sword. So you can kind of just sit here and auto-click if you really want. But overall, pretty decent sword. Okay, so now that I've went over the boss drop swords, let's go over some of the more complicated boss drops. So, majority of the other swords in 3rd C are also boss drops, but they require a special item or quest in order to actually get the drop from the boss, because there's only a specific way to spawn that boss. To start, let's talk about the Spiky Trident. The Spiky Trident is one of those boss drop swords where it has a requirement in order to actually get it. You need to come to Cake Island, talk to Drip_Mama, and see how many enemies you need to defeat. Now, if it's a brand new server, the enemy count will be at 500, but if you're in a public server, this number is normally pretty low since a lot of people grind within the Cake and Ice Cream and all of those islands. Once you actually have this done though, you'll be able to summon a portal behind this house right here in order to fight either the Dough Prince or the Dough King. Now, Dough Prince and Dough King both have a chance to drop this sword, so it doesn't really matter which one you fight. That being said, the 2 moves for the Spiky Trident are Dough Hurricane at mastery level 150, as well as the Flying Trident Pool. Now the overall moveset of the Trident is pretty basic with a dash at the end of it, so it's not the best for grinding, but it's a pretty good sword for PvP because of the pull factor of it. Being able to pull enemies in after flinging them is pretty good. Now I'm going to talk about a sword that I actually don't have yet, I've fought the boss many times and just have not gotten the drop for it yet, and that sword is the Dark Dagger. Now the Dark Dagger, in order to get it, you need to fight Rip Indra, and he has about a 5% chance to drop it, 10% if you have the Game Pass. For those of you that are wondering how do you actually spawn or fight Rip Indra, you need to have all 3 legendary aura colors, go around the Sea Castle area, finding these pads, and then activating them. This pad requires the white aura color, this pad requires the red aura color, and this pad requires the pink/magenta aura color. If you want to know the names of them, the actual names are Snow White, Winter Sky, and Pure Red. Once you have all 3 pads activated though, you'll be able to spawn Rip Indra with a chalice. The chalices can be gotten from chests after every 3 hours, or a random drop from an elite pirate. Again, activate the pads, get a chalice, come here and place the chalice on this pedestal, and Rip Indra will spawn. So the Dark Dagger has 2 moves, the first one being at 150 mastery, and the second one being at 300 mastery. The first one is Proficient Impale, which is just a impaling strike. The second one being Shaming Slash, which allows you to teleport towards the enemy and then do a bunch of slashes behind them. And again, this is about a 5% chance from Rip Indra boss, so it's pretty rare to get, and that's why I don't have it yet. Now, the next sword that drops from a somewhat complicated boss is the Hallow Scythe. The Hallow Scythe can be gotten from getting a Hollowed Essence, I believe that's what it's called, from the Death King or praying at night at the Haunted Castle. Once you actually obtain a Hollowed Essence, bring it to this pedestal, place it upon the fire, and then go inside of the castle. Go all the way up the steps, across the room, and into this room. Here a boss will spawn called the Grim Reaper, I believe, and all you have to do is kill him, and you'll have a chance to get the Hallow Scythe. The 2 moves of the Hallow Scythe are Death Cyclone and Soul Execution. Now, for it being a mythic sword, it's actually the weakest damaging one, so it's not that great. As you can see, I have max mastery on it, as well as have it upgraded, and it only does 2,600 every M1. Now let's talk about some more difficult or heavy requirement swords to get that aren't specifically related to a boss drop. You'll still have to fight bosses in order to get some of this stuff, specifically sea event bosses like the Terror Shark, but they're not specifically related to a boss drop. The first one is the Shark Anchor. The Shark Anchor can be gotten from talking to the Shark Hunter, pressing craft, crafting a Tooth Necklace, which requires mutant teeth as well as shark teeth, crafting the Terror Jaw, which requires terror eyes, mutant teeth, fool's gold, and shark teeth, and then crafting the Monster Magnet, which requires, again, 2 terror eyes, 8 electric wings, 20 fool's gold, and shark teeth. Once you actually have a Monster Magnet, you will then need to go back out a danger level. I recommend going to about danger level 4, as that's typically where terror sharks like to spawn, instead of going out to danger level 6, where you'll just be overwhelmed with stuff. A special terror shark will spawn that actually has the anchor. That being said, the anchor is widely considered across the Blox Fruits community as the best sword for sea events because of its large AoE and big damage. The 2 moves are Typhoon Toss at 150 mastery, and the second move is Armor Breaker. Overall, the Shark Anchor is actually pretty bad grinding wise, but for sea events it's really good because Not only does the Typhoon Toss affect all C events, and you can kind of just hold it down, it also grabs the enemies and flings them. So it's really good for getting stuff away from your ship while doing C events. Now for Tushita, Yama, and Cursed Dual Katana, I'm gonna put what they do in this video, but I'm not actually gonna put how to get them in this video, as I've made separate videos specifically for them. I'll put those linked down in the description or in the little card on the top of your screen now. As this video is already pretty long, I don't want to make it even longer with a long-winded explanation that I've already done. So if you're interested on how to get Tushita, Yama, or Cursed Dual Katana, go watch those videos. I give a really in-depth explanation on how to get them. That being said, let's quickly go over the movesets of all three. Starting with Yama, the moves are at 150 and 300. The first one being Hallow Scythe, and the second one being Infernal Hurricane. Yama's moveset is also ending with a lunge, making it not the best for grinding mastery. Tushita also has the moves at 150 and 300 mastery. The first one being Heavenly Lunges, and the second one being Celestial Ravager. Similar to Yama, Tushita also ends with a lunge, making it not the best for grinding mastery. Lastly, Cursed Dual Katana has the highest requirements mastery-wise, requiring 175 mastery for the first move and 375 mastery for the second move. The first move is Revolving Ravager, and the third move is Slayer of Goliath. Now, Cursed Dual Katana is actually pretty good at grinding mastery because there is no lunge when using. Now let's go over the second sword that I don't actually have yet because I'm still unlucky and still have not gotten it. That sword being the Fox Lantern. So the island is actually called Kitsune Shrine. I believe I called it Fox Island. That's not correct. The two moves are at 150 mastery and 350 mastery. The first one being Scorching Azure, which has two variants. If you hold it down, it becomes much more violent and bigger, as well as Infernal Firestorm, which again has two variants where if you hold it down, it becomes bigger and better. Now, the newest and final sword within 3rd C is Dragonheart. In order to actually obtain Dragonheart, you have to have the black belt from the dojo trainer in order to get dragon eggs, which you will need one in order to make this weapon. You can unlock the recipe at the red belt, but like I said, you need eggs in order to craft this, so you will need the black belt so you can talk to the dragon wizard, learn Dragon Tether, and obtain dragon eggs. Again, you will need to go to Prehistoric Island quite a few times for this, as you need eggs, bones, and majority of the time you can't get them all in one journey to Prehistoric Island, but once you do get it, you will then have the Dragonheart, which I am still grinding the mastery on, so I don't have the last move yet, but I do have the first one, which is at 150 mastery, called Draconic Blitz. The combo for Dragonheart is very similar to the Spiky Trident though, where you do a bunch of attacks and then a long lunge forward. So the last move is at 350 mastery, called Infernal Catastrophe. Normal, it looks like this, and holding down will charge it up and make it look like this. And there you have it. That's every sword in 3rd C. Well, if you don't consider Pole version 2 a 3rd C sword, because you can still obtain Pole V2 in 3rd C, as it's a sword specifically gotten through raids, and you can still do raids in 3rd C. So if you haven't gotten this sword in 2nd C, then you can technically get it in 3rd C, but it's just a raid sword, so I'm considering it a 2nd C sword and not a 3rd C sword. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful, as that's my whole plan with this YouTube channel, is to provide guides that help you guys. Also, next week I will be posting a video about how to get Sanguine art, so hopefully by then I will also have Sanguine art. Still working on it. It's a struggle, but hopefully I'm able to get it. If not, I'm still going to make a video explaining how to get it, but I just won't have it to show off myself, similar to Dark Dagger or the Fox Lantern from the Kitsune Shrine. Goodbye.